Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm so glad you're joining me. Well, today we're making a birthday card in 5 easy steps, and we are using some Hero Arts items. Two of them are brand new, part of the Hero Arts brand new October collection called Best Gift Ever. We're going to be using the Just Because stamp and cutting die set. So much to do with gifts. I thought it'd go good with our greeting. And then we also are going to be using the gorgeous Giftwrap stencil set. Now this is a two-piece stencil set, and you can see they're kind of blocked off. Hero Arts does have a coordinating die that coordinates with this. Since they are rectangles, they're easy to cut. So we're just going to do a little trimming on our own with it, but I will link the die down below if you guys are interested in the die set that goes with this. What's neat about the stencil set is you have this section here, and this section here is a great place to stamp your greetings. Okay, so much fun, and you can do it with colors, or you could do it with patterns. So we're going to make some presents with colors and patterns today. So let's jump in and get started with step number 1 and create our focal point, and that's going to be our presents. And I'm going to bring in my grip mat here, and we're going to do a little stenciling. We're going to stencil one panel on camera, and then I'll do the other 2 off of camera. I'm going to do 3 color patterns. So our first color pattern will be, we're going to go pink and blue. I'm using my Pink Fresh Studio inks. I have Bubblegum and Seaside. So when these 2 are combined, it's going to create a purple. And so when you do this, you want to make sure that the 2 colors that you pick will create another color. Okay, so that's the one we're going to do right now. Off camera, I'm going to do Bubblegum and Marigold. So the in-between color will be an orange corally color. And then the third panel that we're going to do is Seaside and Marigold. So these 2 colors together will create a real pretty green. Okay, so those 2 panels we're going to do off camera, and I'll show you how I'm going to do it. First, we're going to take our Bubblegum ink, use my blending brush, and I'm going to add color. And I'm going to hit and miss the colors. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Okay, you see how I have some white areas here? You want to make sure that when you do this, you have some of those white areas. And I think that looks great. Next, I'm going to go in with my blue ink, and then we're going to fill in those white areas with blue, kind of overlapping them. And then if you do want to go back in with your pink and add a little bit more, that's the beauty of inks. You can just add to your heart's content. Lovely. And that's all there is to that. Okay, I'm going to take my stencil and remove it. That just looks bright and cheery. Great for a birthday card. Now I'm going to go in with the pattern stencil. They're indexed on the bottom. We're just going to line it up here. And then I want a little texture on each of these. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my Hero Paste. This is white Hero Paste. It's a very, very smooth paste, and it has the consistency, not like Ranger texture paste, but it has a consistency of, I would say, like real soft butter. And it just glides over. It does take a little bit longer to dry, but what's nice is when it does dry, it has a sheen to it. So there's a little bit of there's shininess to it, almost like a patent leather kind of a shine. So I'm going to go over my stencil here. This is going to give me great texture. Okay, and then we're going to remove the stencil carefully. And look how fun this is. You can kind of see that shine. And again, I'll do 2 more of these panels with those colors that I mentioned earlier when we come back. But before this dries, I'm going to add a little bit of sparkle. Now I'm using something that's I can't find anymore. This is from Stampendous. It's called Shaved Ice. I will link something very similar down below. But what this is let me get up some cardstock. It's not heavy. In fact, it's like plastic. And it's an iridescent, like a mylar film almost. And I just love it for birthday cards. But I'm going to add it to the texture paste to give this a little pizzazz. Okay, I'm going to tap this over my garbage can. Okay, and it's sticking to that paste, so it's going to give me even more dimension. Okay, and again, this container here is not available, but I'm pretty sure I can find a substitute. Okay, so I'll link that down below if you guys are interested. Now I'm going to continue on with the other 2 colors, and I am going to wait until those dry before we continue on. All 3 panels are done. So pink and yellow, yellow and blue and pink. Okay, we are going to bring in the paper trimmer and we're going to trim down some presents. And I'm not sure which ones I want to use, but I am going to leave a little bit of a border on here. And again, Hero Arts does have a coordinating die that will cut out these. So I trimmed them all out. Since I did 3, you could potentially make lots more birthday cards with this. This is kind of great for mass producing. Okay, I'm not going to use the Christmas trees. But what I am going to do is pick out some colors that I think will go really good together. Okay, now we have 4 presents, and we are going to add some ribbon around here. And we will tie bows on each of these. Now I have bows on each one of them. Now I know a lot of people, including my daughter, are not great at tying bows. A nice substitute or option would be a die like this. This is from Spellbinders. It's called the Field Notes Twine. And what this does is it creates, let me bring in this one. If you were to cut this out with white cardstock and wrap it around here, you could actually create a bow with paper. Let me grab the bows here. This is a great die for that. So that would be an option too. The bow's going to be a little bit bigger, but there's tails in the bow center too. It's just one die, and this is a fun die to have if you don't like tying bows. It's a nice substitute. I'll link this down below if you guys want to check that out. But this will be my focal point. I'm going to put these to the side, and now we're going to move along to step number 2 and create our home panel. For my home panel, I'm bringing in another Hero Arts die set. This creates a frame. This is the wood frame infinity dies. I've had this for a while, but if you wanted to use 2 rectangle dies to create a frame, you could do that also. What I'm going to do is create a shaker. So I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to bring in 2 pieces of acetate. So that is our wood grain frame. What I'm going to do is add some adhesive along the frame edge, and then we are going to add 1 layer of acetate. So now we have 1 layer of acetate. I'm going to put foam tape around here next. I just did 1 layer today because we are going to add some more of this shaved ice, and we're going to fill this in. This is just going to be really subtle, and I want my shaker to be see-through. So that's why we have the second piece of acetate here. I'm just going to go ahead and fill this in. And then I'm going to sandwich that in between 2 pieces of acetate. Okay, so now, well, I guess it shakes a little bit. It shakes a little bit, but not too much. but it has a really fabulous iridescent tint to it. Okay, and I need to trim and that will be my home panel. Okay, let's go ahead and arrange our presents. Wonderful. Okay, that's my home panel and my focal point. We're going to move along to step number 3 and create our greeting. Let's bring back our stamp set. We're going to stamp the greeting that says, "Hope this adds a little extra happy to your birthday." Everybody can use a little extra happy on their birthday. Let's go ahead and stamp this on some white cardstock. Wonderful. And then I'm going to take the coordinating die and we will cut this out. I love the way this die cuts out. It gets in all the little nooks and crannies. So neat. Okay, I did pop this up with some foam tape, and then we're going to add this right in the center of our presents here. Okay, we're going to move along to step number 4 and create our background. For my background, I'm bringing in another stencil set from Hero Arts. This is the large sprinkled dots. And I'm going to bring in my card base. We're going to stencil directly on the front of our card base for our background. So I'm just going to let's bring in my grit mat here. I'm going to add the stencil right over here. And using the same inks that we use for our gifts, starting off with the pink, we're going to add a little pink in certain sections here. We're going to go in a triangle. And I'm kind of going a little light. I don't really want to go heavy because I don't want it to compete with my presents. So I'm just going really light. Next I'm going to bring in yellow. Lovely. And then lastly we're going to bring in our blue. Let's add some blue overlapping and creating purple and green. That took no time at all. Let's take a look. We have a nice polka dot background for our card today. Okay, let's go ahead and take our home panel. I'm going to put adhesive around the edge where you can see the foam tape. So you can kind of see the polka dots behind that glitter. Kind of real soft. But I love the way this looks. Okay, lastly, we're going to move along to step number 5, which means it's time to embellish. Now, we have a few embellishments as it is already on our card. We have the shaker element, and then we also have the twine. But I'm also going to bring in some stars. Okay, these are sequins from Hero Arts. It is called the Frost Sequin Mix. I think Hero Arts still has this, but I like the stars in here. So I'm going to grab a couple stars and let's use our glue, and we're going to add a few stars in our background too. Very subtle, but you can still see them, which is nice. And that will finish off my card project for today in 5 easy steps. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.